Hey guys, how you doing? Hey, today I'm going to remove this door. It's a metal Stanley door, but it's rotted out at the bottom. We're out in the mountains, and this is a workshop, and it's rotted out. The frame has some issues also, and we did have to add some new siding that you can see, which brought the the distance out from the house, which the jamb is now not as wide as it should be. So we're going to take this door out, put a new pre-hung Stanley door in with a wider jamb that extends out flush with the siding, so we can go back over that with some exterior trim, and also flush with the inside sheetrock, so we can go over the sheetrock and cover that too, and lock this door in, the new door. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this, and I'll show you how I put a new door in. Okay, so as I mentioned, we'll remove the casing. This door was put in thinking we were going to be able to salvage it, but we are not. So we'll remove the casing, leaving the little window above, the stained glass window. Remove the screws, and then we'll go ahead and remove this door to get the weight off the jamb, and then pry the jamb out. Remove the exterior trim and the interior trim, and then we'll have the opening. So I'm removing these screws for the hinge, and I'm going to hold on to the hinges to recycle them. You may need to use some shims or something else to hold the door on the outside edge, so when you remove the hinges, the door doesn't fall or drop. Or have somebody else help you when you're removing that door. Okay, the tool I'm using is called a cat's paw, and I'm removing the nails from the exterior trim. Be very careful when removing the nails or prying with the hammer that you don't damage the siding or any exterior trim that you don't want to have to repair. Prying with the hammer will leave indentions, and you will end up having to repair those, which will be costly. After measuring prior, it was found that I needed to raise the header at least 3/8 of an inch to go ahead and get the door to fit in. So now I am cutting out the header or header modification by using a sawzall, a reciprocating saw. So I'm going to notch it, take out 3/8 of an inch, and be able to fit that door back in easily. When you hang a pre-hung door, you'll always want to start with the hinge side first when you hang it. You need to check it to see if there's any gaps or if it needs to be leveled. And if it needs to be leveled, then you'll go ahead and throw some shims in, as I'm doing at the bottom. I'll put the shims in, set the level back up against it, and move the shims until I see that the bubble is dead center. Once I see the bubbles dead center, then I'll tack the shims in, put the level back on, and check to see up the level if there's any gaps, and then I'll add more shims if needed. Once the area is identified that needs more shims, I go ahead and set the shims in and tack them in. And then once I do that, I'll check it again to be level, and then it's ready to go ahead and set the door. Okay, prior to installing the door, you'll want to clean up the area really well around where the threshold's going to be sitting. You can add caulking, metal flashing, paper flashing, or any type of a flashing at the bottom against the corners of the studs, so that when you set the door down, it presses in and locks in firmly with the caulking. I double check the measurements to make sure that the door is going to fit, so I don't have to do any more modifications. I also make sure again that it's level and plumb across the top and the sides, so that the door will actually fit and I won't have to take it back out and waste any more time. Now, many times when you buy a door, either at Home Depot, Lowe's, or from a door shop, they'll come with these corners stapled to the bottom. You need to make sure you remove these before you set the door, or the door won't set level. And if you set the door with these and install it, you'll end up having to remove so now the door once you're ready to install that door, slide the bottom in first, and then slowly pivot the door up into the opening, and hopefully it fits for you. Tap it over to the corner and check that the jamb is flush to the inside edge, the finished edge, which for me is sheetrock. However, it may be anything else, paneling or stone. And then check that the outside is also flush. You'll want to level again and plumb to make sure that it's straight and good. And then the first side that you're going to secure is going to be the hinge side. And I secure it with small nails first with my pass load to hold it in place. And then once it looks good and I shim it out just a little, then I'll go ahead and use hex screws to go ahead and secure it to the stud for the framing. Okay, once I've secured the hinge side of the jamb to the framing, I install the door. That will hold the weight of the door, but I do not secure the headpiece and I don't secure the active side or the jamb where the lock set would be. Once I have all the screws in, I'll shut the door and I'll see if I need any adjustments for the reveal on either the head or the other leg. Once I see what I need, then I could shim the sides out, move it up, move it down where I need, and then I tack it again with the nail from my pass load prior to installing any screws to do the final secure. So check that it closes, check the reveal, and then secure. So now I'm using these torque screws, and again, this is an exterior door with a heavy jamb. The torque screws are more than adequate to hold the weight and to pull this in tight. Once the hinge side's secure, now it's time to go ahead and secure the active side. Shim it out, check your reveal with the door, tack it, and then screw it in. Okay, when you're putting the screws in now, you'll want to make sure that you go right where you put your shims. Then it won't bow in. You'll also want to countersink the heads just a little so that you could fill it in with putty or any type of other material you're going to use prior to priming and painting. Okay, so that's how I install a pre-hung door. I started on the, once you remove the old one and you make sure that it's all level and square and plumb, then I went ahead and shimmed the jamb side framing so that I knew that it was going to be completely plumb. Then I installed the jamb side of the pre-hung unit with some screws, not the header, and brought it back in and hung the door to see how that was going to work on the reveal here, because you need a decent reveal, even reveal all the way around. And then I went ahead and secured the active side with 3-inch torque screws. One thing I did do before, you noticed when I tore the old door out, I actually saved the casing. And when I put casing on, I always glue the corners and I shim them. I bring them in because you never know what the wall's doing. So I'll put casing, I'll put two pieces, I'll put the head piece on, and I'll put the side piece on, I'll put a piece of a shim or something in there, and then I'll set the two pieces of wood that bring the corners together tight. And then I glue those corners. So one thing I did is when I removed the other casing from the original door that you saw me take out a little while ago, I saved it. And since I glued it, it's actually a solid piece. And what's nice with this piece is I knew these doors were going to be the same size. So all I have to do is pretty much just set this back in here, and these will line up. I can move the legs out just a hair, and then on my door will be cased. So that actually made it nice and easy. So I'll go ahead and get that installed just with some brad nails on the jamb, And then I'll throw some 2.5-inch nails through the sheetrock here, through the casing of the sheetrock and into the framing. So, that's how I install a pre-hung door. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. I have several others if you want to take a look at them. Go ahead and subscribe. I appreciate you watching, and you guys have a nice day.